Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Nightmare Hunters podcast. We're happy to have everything all set up and ready to roll. Joining us tonight is Robbie Jed Rains and Wyatt Estes, coming to us from the great state of Arkansas. We are going to have a good show for y'all tonight. We're going to both basically introduce the new format, and we'll be talking about some sightings and things like that. But I really hope you guys like the new intro, the new logo, because we're pretty proud of it. Boys, how the hell are you guys doing?
Go ahead, Wyatt.
Fine as wine.
Sorry to put you on the spot. Didn't I? He's like,
Well, all right.
doing good. Doing good. Just glad to be here, a part of the Nightmare Hunters Nation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, you guys.
Well, it's been a while of coming. We've been planning it for a while, but
Yeah.
we pulled the trigger as of today.
I love it.
Well, yeah,
I think
it's all about
I think the music real fitting.
but it's all about that growth and evolution of the show, like you said. The show has grown past what you originally envisioned it to be, and it's time for things to sprout and grow and fly and whatever else it's supposed to do. And I'm excited. I thought it looked really good.
Pretty excited about it. I really enjoyed it. Noah did a good job on it. My son Noah made that. So boys, what have you guys been up to lately? Anything cryptid wise?
About 46,500 words.
Well, you also had something weird happen right in your backyard, Robbie. That dog attack.
Yeah,
in
Rodney
South Carolina.
Rodney sent me a little link, and this actually happened last week while I was at the academy. And I was telling Rodney, I sent you the link, DA, that geology road that they talk about. That's actually on the academy's property, and that the South Carolina Forestry Commission's office is not far from the academy. They're on the same side of Broad River Road. And like I said, it happened while I was down there, and I didn't hear anything about it. Nobody said anything about it. Didn't hear about it till Rodney sent me the link about it. So I read it, and I was like, he asked me what I thought, and I was like, this is weird. And then I sent it to you, and you said the same thing that I did. Who closes an entire state park for two dog attacks?
No kidding.
Call animal control and catch things, and that's it.
Exactly.
But like what, an 8-day stretch? I think they said they had it closed for, or it was gonna be closed for. It just something don't make a whole lot of sense about that. But there again, state park. There we go. And there's people in the chat on Facebook about it that was saying, that the guy said it was 2 pit bulls and pictures have been released, but then there's 4 or 5 comments after that said no. There's other people saying it was Rottweilers, other people say it was German Shepherds. Nobody knows what it is, and at this point right now, I have not seen any pictures released, because somebody was claiming that they had released game cam footage of the dogs, but I haven't found any. Rodney may have found some. I don't know if he did or not.
How big done by the dogs?
Well, he had to go to the hospital, but it was non-life threatening, is what it said. So I don't know if he was actually bitten or if he fell and hurt himself and had to go, but they just said non-life threatening injuries. So, and that's just was weird to think about. Is like I said, it happened last week while I was down there. Actually, one of them happened Wednesday while we were doing the show, or not while we were doing the show, but the day that we did the show. Not far from where I was parked.
Just very weird. Not saying it's not a dog, but you don't generally shut down an entire national park for a dog.
Well, state park, but yeah.
You just don't shut down a park. just for one dog. You send
Yeah.
you send somebody in with it, either a dart to dart the dog, or you send in animal control to catch it. There's another more weird one that happened last night. Nathan Finn, one of our mods, he I was talking to him, and he had a prowler. Said he was kind of freaking out because he was hearing something. He lives out in the sticks, and he went outside with his dog, and he's got a dog that normally runs bears, and he said the dog was shaking like a leaf and wouldn't leave his side. So they reported it, and supposedly, I guess this got bumped up the food chain pretty fast, because he was saying that he had both law enforcement and Department of Conservation, Department of Natural Resources come out to investigate the prowler. DNR doesn't investigate prowlers.
Not usually.
No, that's a law enforcement thing. DNR, especially if it was reported as a a person, as a prowler, DNR is not going to get involved. So Nathan's got something weird going on in the woods around his house.
Yeah, you don't usually get the squirrel patrol to come do real law enforcement. I mean, that's just not how it works.
Pretty much.
Because, like, that whole week that I was down there training all them, the khakis, they've mixed highway patrol in with basics now. So once they finish their patrol school, they mix into the basic classes and get them out there on the practical problems range in the crisis house. There's one of them said, he looked at me, he said, "Sir, at what point do I ask them for their license, registration, proof of insurance?" He was laughing. I'm like, "Dude, do you not think you might roll up on a rolling domestic, or you pull a rolling domestic over, or you stop somebody that's so?" If they're not city or county, they don't think they'll ever do anything like that, and that's their mentality. So for them to call a game warden to investigate a prowler, that's weird.
Just a guy who says DA, so we can assume the DNR might have a cat team of sorts, assuming they were wearing plain clothes, weren't feds in plain clothes. Yeah, I would say it's highly likely that DNR is probably one of the groups that fields a team, and it's probably made up of probably high-end special forces that's either been seconded to them or hired by them. Kevin Boat says, could there have been a fugitive in the area? Not for DNR. Even a fugitive wouldn't have brought in DNR.
Now, if there was a fugitive and they called, it was bad, and they called everybody, yeah, you might have some DNR show up to help and maybe secure a scene. If they just needed to, lock down a perimeter, yeah. But like DA said, have them come in and be the lead on something like that, that's highly unusual.
Like DA was saying, they usually don't shut down a state park for 8 days over a dog, just a dog attack.
Some weirdness going on, that's for sure.
Like I said, you're not seeing a reply. I said hey to you. So, hey. I said hey to you twice, both times you said it to me. So, hey.
Yeah, I'm trying to type on the computer, but I'm not very good at typing on the computer.
Robbie, why don't you check MapSquatch and see what kind of sightings are in the area of where that sighting was, where that incident was with the dogs? Because I'm not sure exactly where it is, South Carolina.
Well, unfortunately, I know exactly where it's at. I spent enough time down there. If you know, you know, right?
Very true.
Way too much of my adult life in that wonderful, wonderful place. You caught the sarcasm, right, DA?
Yeah.
I've not really done any cryptid stuff here lately, but I do still watch the shows and stuff. So,
okay, the closest that I see anything around that and it's in the same county, Richland County, but it's closer. Take a wild guess what it's next to. The only sighting that I see around that area anywhere close.
That
Fort Jackson, which is probably what? On the national park somewhere. Let's see exactly.
probably right up. Yep. My brother was stationed at Fort Jackson for a while.
Yep. That's where I went and did MEPS at. Soldier describes late night encounter at Fort Jackson in Richland County. And this was in 1964. But that's let's see. Let me find the roads. I'm not 100% sure what the name of that state park was, but it may be this Harbison State Forest, because that's off Harbison or Broad River Road, which is right close to Harbison. Yeah, that's got to be it, because there's exit 102B, which is or 101B, which is the exit you get off of 26 to go to the academy. So it's got to be this Harbison State Forest. Yep, that's it. It's right off Broad River Road. So that's probably from that sighting, straight line, taking out all the curves road. That's I'd say probably 60 to 80 miles away from that sighting to where the dog thing happened. And I didn't know this, but the Criminal Justice Academy sits right in the middle of that state forest.
Good place for one.
I mean, it literally sits. They've cut the main part of the academy is off Broad River Road, but then the crisis house and the driving range and shooting range and all that stuff, they've cut that out right out of the middle of that forest. So that's pretty cool or pretty interesting. I really didn't realize that.
That's like a perfect spot for a sighting too.
Now that I see that, I'd like to talk to some of those. If I could get in touch with some of my old instructors, some of the older guys that have been down there, especially like before, when the academy was done different than it is now. They don't do a what is yeah, same. I don't know why you close it for an 8-day stretch for wild dogs. Yeah, that makes no sense. But anyway, I'd like to, they used to do a lot of night firing and a lot of night driving. Well, they still did night driving and night firing when I was down there, but then they used to do like nighttime scenarios at some point. Mm-hmm. That would be interesting if anything was heard or seen down there at the village, is what we used to call it back in those days before everything, because there wasn't as many apartment complexes and things like that off Broad River Road back then as there are now. So, that area has got kind of more populated now, so to speak. But I bet you back then there's been people who've seen stuff.
I would imagine.
Was it a violent?
What's that?
Was it a violent attack, or did they say?
Yeah, he had to go to the hospital, but they just said non-life-threatening injuries. Do you remember reading anything where it said he was actually bit, or is that all it said?
I don't remember. It's been a little bit since I've read the article, but I think it just said he was non-life-threatening injuries. It didn't say bit, clawed, or what. It just said non-life-threatening.
So I mean, he could have saw him turn and
ran into a tree.
His ankle, or ran into a tree or something like that.
Right.
But it's interesting, to say the least.
Definitely. Well, folks, if you guys aren't aware, the new book, Lakeview Man, Dead of Winter, is now out. It's available in Kindle. I've already posted the link once. If you guys haven't had a chance to get to pick it up yet, I'll post the link again. It is currently available in Kindle, but it will not be ready in print probably until either later tonight or tomorrow. Amazon takes a lot longer to release the print form than they do the Kindle form, and I will make an announcement as soon as I have information that the print's available.
Have you received any yet?
One so far.
Well, you were expecting it and you were waiting for it.
Yeah, I'm expecting some interestingly worded emails and texts as people read this book.
I guess I haven't got to that part yet, but what I've read so far is amazing. So,
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but
looks great.
I'm hoping to get some interesting texts.
am I gonna text you when I finish the book, DA?
I might get a strongly worded text from you.
He got one from me. I mean, the minute I read it, I was like, I texted him. I said, "Are you for real?" He's like, "Yep." I said, "Okay."
The alpha readers were all pretty floored when
So
that
that's where
happened.
we're going now. See how this thing's going. Gotcha.
I guess I'll probably figure out tonight or tomorrow sometime because I'll probably end up finishing it then.
And trust me, Wyatt, it's not something that's gonna sneak up on you. You're gonna know exactly what we're talking about. I promise. Promise 100% you'll be like, yep, that's what they were talking about.
Miss Lene said, "Yes, we were."
Yep.
I can imagine.
Miss Lene knows exactly what we're talking about because we were all. Matter of fact, I think me, Miss Lene, and Gunny were all Sentinel, Six Killer,
Yeah.
however many names he's got. We're all talking about. You were still asleep. You woke up to like a text thread that long of us talking about it.
It had been a heck of a conversation going before I even woke up and got involved in it.
Well, I know as soon as you said it was live, I was checking Amazon like 2 minutes afterwards.
So, and you know, it's a race now between me and DA to see if Wampus Cat or Devil of Absaroka get which one comes out first. So,
well, I'm going to be working on that now that the stress of getting Lakeview Man out is off my head. I'm hoping I can really start cranking out some numbers. I've already got my Zach, my cover guy. We're already talking about the next cover, so hopefully that problem will be in the past. What my plan is to have the cover done. Only thing waiting on is final page count, because in order for the cover artist to make the cover the correct size for upload and print, he has to know exactly how many pages to know how wide the spine needs to be. And that
slop
was
and gutter. I've learned those words.
Yep.
The bane of my existence.
Yeah. It's an art. It's an art form to really be able to hit that dead on. And Zach did a really good job. So we're going to go ahead and start working on the other cover long before this manuscript's even done. Northwood says there have been more reports in the area here lately, including one with a handprint that was left on a vehicle, and they showed me a picture of it. Dude, I think things are starting to get more active and more aggressive. Miss Lene says, I hope you guys have a tie, and very soon I need to read something.
Yeah, I was jonesing Miss Lene before DA released that book last night. I was chomping at the bits.
Well, this is a great comment. Robin Ray says, I plan to read half. I finished the book. I couldn't stop.
It's good. It's a page turner.
Yeah. I'll be doing the same thing when you release yours, Robbie.
Well, like I said, this one's took me a lot longer than the first two, but DA will tell you, this one's going to be a lot different from the way I wrote the first two. This one is, I mean, liken it to your high school career,
right?
Freshman year, sophomore year. I think I'm in my junior year on this one because I've kind of really pushed my boundaries. Don't you think, DA?
Yeah, your learning curve has been really accelerated. you were improving your writing by leaps and bounds.
And like we said, these next 2 books are going to really kick things up a notch between me and DA.
I think you all
Hey,
are
I'm
gonna,
game. You guys are both really good at what you do. We're glad to have authors like you guys out there.
well, I appreciate it, brother.
Oh yeah.
Well, and the thing is, if more authors, and I'm not saying there's not ones to do it, but if more authors would be like him and say, you know, whatever you need for me to help you, I'm here to help you. You know, everybody's in competition, but you know, and obviously it helped out that we were friends way before that, but we're a lot alike. We think the same way, you know, and I modeled my writing style after him. So it's just, you know, it's been a natural fit for, you know, the kind of the mentor status, but now we're kind of getting into that. What's the word I'm looking for, DA?
You're not a Padawan anymore. You're almost a Jedi.
Well, no, not that. It's just, it's not so much that. It's more we're really helping each other with the stories, because now we can bounce stuff off each other. Hey, I'm doing this. Is this gonna work with other things, and vice versa? And you know, it's without trying to say too much, it's been a lot of help, especially on
Being
the
storyboard together really does help plan the books out.
Oh yeah, it does. And you know, like thinking back all those months ago when we sat down and pretty much storyboarded what maybe 2 books past where you're at right now, I think is when what we kind of planned out, and how funny it is that certain things are falling into that we didn't even have any clue about and not even talked about, but the things we said have worked out to kind of, it's mind blowing to think of how these things have worked out. And it's just like, you know, if we hadn't done this wouldn't have worked. And now that we've done this works. And, you know, we enjoy sitting down and brainstorming.
Oh, definitely. I thoroughly enjoy that, especially if we can do it over the fire pit in the backyard with a few beers. Missouri Broad says our activity is picked up at our place. I just got in from trying to walk my giant schnauzer, and she was staring at the wood line and then pulling me to go back inside. Not normal for her at all. Well, that's definitely indicating that you've got some sort of big predator in the area.
Yep.
You know, we can't say for certain it's a type of cryptid, but it's a dog that big, nervous of something. It's definitely a big predator. Bobby Presnell says, do you guys, DA and Robbie, plan on doing a crossover in your books? Well, sort of. Well, yeah, there's that answer. The answer to that would be kind of in a gray area. It's not exactly a crossover, more like woven together, just tidbits of information. Yeah, it's like sharing strands of a spider web. You'll just have to see.
Yeah.
If it works out the way we're planning it, I think it's really going to, you know, help further make even a much larger universe.
And those threads he's talking about, these 2 books that we're working on right now, they're starting to tug at those threads. You'll see what we're talking about. And I know it's killing y'all because y'all want us to just come out and say it, but you gotta wait for it.
Toshi, where was that at? So we had a bunch of campgrounds closed out of the blue at a lake not far from me, just before the 4th. Yeah, let me know where that's at. That'd be a great place to go looking around if it's anywhere nearby. Pizza's 50 Shades of Grey area. 50 Shades of Grey Eagle.
That's a good way to put it.
This is Raystown Lake.
And yes, Pete, the actual legend is mentioned in the book. I pretty much went through the entire legend. Had Johnny tell it in his. So,
Missouri Broads. I'm in Crawford County, not far from Steelville. I know that area. It's been a while since I've been up that way. I've deer hunted in that area, but it's been 35 years probably. Well, I've got a story for you guys that I'll read for you. It's a Class A sighting. It's an actual visual sighting, but this one's unique because it's in town.
Ooh, that is
It-
unique.
I like it.
This happened in 2009 in Madison County, Alabama. Guy says, I was on the 6th floor of a Marriott hotel facing the Rocket Center. The creature was 30 to 35 yards from the parking spaces where the loading docks and the dumpster area is. If you're facing the hotel, it will be the area to the left where there's a walking trail. I was staying at the Marriott in Huntsville at the Space and Rocket Center. It was about 5:40 a.m. on February 24th, 2009. I went to the balcony to drink my coffee as the room was too stuffy and hot. I was out there just thinking and staring off into the woods when something caught my eye. After refocusing on it, I realized there were legs, then arms, then I could clearly make out its face. The creature stood 6 to 7 feet tall and was staring directly back at me. It seemed to have fine hairs all over it, gray color hair that got more black as the hair got closer to the skin. The tips of the hair were much lighter. The face, lips, eyes, lids, etc., were more of a very dark brown. It stood very erect. It was muscular. It did not seem to have the ape-like protruding mouth and nose, but a more flat-faced, human-like face. After 30 seconds, he started rocking back and forth. That sound familiar, Robbie?
This sounds very familiar.
I then realized this was moving. I realized this was moving and could in no way be mistaken for a deer or a bear or anything else. This was a fully erect, ape-like animal that seemed to want me to see him. He was rocking back and forth from side to side. After the initial 30 seconds, he rocked for about 10 to 12 seconds, then stood and stared at me. Again, I was on the 6th floor, about 120 yards away in decent lighting due to hotel and street lights behind the loading area of the hotel. He would then stare back at me. Then he would remain face forward within feet of only about with his feet only about 2 feet apart, and would lean over to his left with his right arm and would start pulling bark off a very large pine tree. It looked as if someone were in a sawing position. Then he would stand up, stare at me, then rock back and forth, then pull more bark off. This was done in that order 3 or 4 times over a 5 to 6 minute period. After 5 minutes of re-verifying what I was looking at, and I felt this creature was docile and smooth moving, I decided I would try to get a closer look. As I opened the sliding glass door, he stared and I stared back. I ran out of the hotel room and there was security in our hall laying the morning news at the hotel room doors. I asked him to come with me and asked for backup since he had no gun. We ran around the corner outside, and as we were running, I finally got the nerve to tell him what I'd seen. We got to the reference points I had chosen, and there was a lot of fresh bark removed from the large pine tree. I tried to pull the bark from it, but couldn't make it budge. It was too hard. I'm 6'4" and 300 pounds. I went back after daylight, and I did notice what looked like scat. It looked like a form of explosive diarrhea, and it looked like hundreds of birds had pooped in a small area, like a shotgun pattern, heavy in the middle and lighter to the outside perimeter. I put a large handful in a Marriott laundry plastic bag. It looked like feces and digested berries and seeds. It was dry, although it had rained the night before. One of the Marriott employees saw 2 large footprints, more like deep indentations in the pine straw. I took off my shoe and placed my foot in it, and there was about an inch area all the way around my foot in order to fill the indentation. Something very heavy had to have made these indentions. I tried, and I'm 300 pounds and couldn't reproduce it. And I'm 100% positive of the above description. I watched this clearly for 5 to 6 minutes. It was stripping bark. What have we said about stripping bark? Especially off pine and spruce. It's got medicinal value.
Yeah. Apparently, it's Imodium AD medicinal because he had explosive diarrhea.
Yeah. Either that or, it was taking that because he had worms or something.
Yeah, could be.
What do y'all think of that one?
That was a good one. But DA, what is the you're talking about them stripping the bark off the pine trees and stuff, or
Mhm.
the stuff. What kind of medical effects does that have? Do you know?
A lot of different plants have different effects. The Native Americans have whole lists of different barks and roots that are actual naturally medicinal. Um, see, I just looked this one up. Pine bark, if you chew pine bark, it's a natural antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties stemming from compounds like procyanids. It's been studied for its effects in cardiovascular health, blood pressure, circulation, and more. Spruce
So it does.
bark is a natural pain reliever.
Yep.
So you can do pretty much if you know what you're looking for, you can pretty much have your own medical stuff out
Well,
there.
Native Americans used to say that the Great Spirit made a plant for every ailment.
That makes sense. I mean, because back then
And
you
a
didn't
lot
have
of
a
the
farm.
modern medicines we have today are based off old wives' tales, old native remedies, and things like that. Uh, they used to prescribe foxglove tea for people with a bad heart. Foxglove, when isolated, gives us the heart drug digitalis.
Okay.
A lot of
Basically,
our
if you know,
modern remedies have come from those old homeopathic remedies.
yeah, because they didn't have a pharmacy to go to back then, so they kind of had to learn what was good and what wasn't.
I got a book sitting right here, Wyatt. It's 250. How's that type? So I don't make sure I don't read it wrong or quote it wrong. Forgotten Home Apothecary, 250 powerful remedies, and it's all stuff that you can go out in your backyard or in the woods or whatever, and you open it up and it's written. A lot of people call this the Amish drug book or Amish cure or something like that. But basically, the way it's written out, you open it up and it's got like a little pictures of all this stuff, and like say I've got arthritis, so you go to arthritis and you find what it is, and it tells you what page. You go to that page and it tells you what you need, how you need to mix it and make it, and everything is all natural. So yeah, I mean that's 250 home remedies right there. And that's the stuff that they used to do back in those days.
If I remember right, my mom has a book, something like that. You can, whatever ailment you've got, you can go flip to the page, and it's got natural stuff to use.
Miss Lene says sassafras tea is supposed to be good for heart and circulation.
Yep. And pine needle tea, I think that helps break fevers. There's some other stuff that it's good for. But yeah, I mean, like DA said, they used to say that there's a plant in nature to cure just about every disease or ailment that there is.
Oh yeah.
Cajun Dog says a book y'all can look up is the Herbalist Bible.
Yep, I worked with at the school's got one of those. He's got another one that's pretty good. It's called Eat the Weeds. It goes through and tells you a lot. A lot of people just go through their yard pulling weeds and stuff like that. There's a lot of those things that are medicinal and good for you.
Dandelions. The leaves of dandelions are not only edible, but they've got a lot of health benefits.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, to you. And everybody's yard's full of dandelions unless you spray them. So
Lots of old Native American remedies that have actually more medicinal value than people ever wanted to believe before.
yeah, but the powers that be aren't going to let us know that because they will. They like for us to pay.
On big pharma.
Yeah. Entertainment purposes only, by the way.
That's right. Well, one of you boys want to grab one of those accounts and read one?
Yeah, I can read that one that I pulled up that you asked me to pull up if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
All right. This is a Class B from October 10th of 1964, Richland County, South Carolina, on the base at Fort Jackson. I just read a report from South Carolina, and not far from where this happened is Fort Jackson near Columbia, South Carolina. Fort Jackson is an Army base. While I was serving in the Army on Fort Jackson, something happened that might be related. We were on a training mission for escape and evasion. I was supposed to escape through the enemy lines and make my way back on my own. This was about a 7 or 8 mile walk through the woods alone. As I remember, the incident happened at 7 p.m. or just after dark. There was no moon, and it was the darkest night I'd ever spent in the woods alone. Being from West Virginia and hunting all my life, this did not bother me too much. As I made my way down a fire lane at around 2 a.m., I came to a crossing of the 2 fire lanes. I stopped to rest for a minute and get my bearings. Back then, there was no lights coming from Columbia or Fort Jackson to direct your way. I was about to step past the crossing. I was about 1 step past the crossing, resting, trying to decide on which way to go, when I heard something coming. Immediately, I thought another person was coming. I was happy that I would have someone to walk with me in the dark night. I could see my watch I couldn't see my watch or my hand in front of my face, only a faint white sand line path. I waved until this thing, or maybe 2 things, was within a few steps of me. Then I said, "Who goes there?" This thing went to its left in a flash. It went about 50 to 75 feet away and just stood there. And then I heard what sounded like someone talking backwards in a sort of growl as I was standing there confused about what was going on. In about a minute or two, I heard this thing come back towards me. I took 1 step to my left and kneeled down as it rounded the corner. Then I stood up and said, "I got you now." That's when all hell broke loose. It took off running, crashing through the brush like a train. This is when I got really scared. The hair on my neck raised up, and I started to speak, but was unable to. I said to myself, "Boy, you got to get out of here." I must have run half a mile or so to my left and stopped to see if this thing was coming. I only stopped for a second and started running again, luckily in the right direction. I ran up to the airport sergeant who had a fire built and a truck waiting. I never wanted to see another person so bad in my life before. That would be kind of scary as crap, being out there in the woods in a complete and total utter darkness, and have something walk up on you and you think it's a person, and you say, "Who goes there?" and it runs off and it starts sounding like somebody's talking backwards. But I mean, that can be that like the night we was out there, Noah kept saying he heard that samurai gibberish. I mean, that would
super chat. You're awesome.
Thanks, Miss Lene.
Miss Lene is awesome.
Yeah, we've got to go back to Combs Ferry with the ability to record. We couldn't record the shotgun mic then. I want to go back and see if we can capture that. Because Noah said it sounded almost like a language, but nothing he could understand.
Yeah, you can hook your parabolic mic up to this right here, and we can record
Really?
from it. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
It's got one of the. Yeah, it's got a microphone and a headphone jack. So.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll definitely be doing that then. Little Patty says it's Ghibli. Yeah, talking Ghibli.
Yeah, I've never mentioned it before, but one of the coves me and Richard have went back in before, we heard something way off in the distance, and I won't say it sounded like chatter, but it sounded like they were kind of communicating, at least back and forth to each other. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, anytime you hear something like that, you can't explain it. That's kind of an eerie feeling, especially if you're someplace where there shouldn't be anybody.
Yeah, and it was getting close. It was getting closer, so we didn't stick around too much longer after that. DA, I've got a dogman sighting pulled up if you want me to read it.
Dude, go for it.
All right. I'm going to stop my camera so I can back it away from my computer screen real quick. All right. Says in October of 1972, my husband, our two babies, my brother, and I left Leavenworth, Kansas in our 1968 Volkswagen van on a camping trip to a recreational area in Arkansas called Beaver Lake. When we finally got there, we found a fairly remote campsite at the far end of the park. We wanted to be alone as the babies woke often during the night and needed to feed. We didn't want to disturb any other campers. Shortly after pulling into our campsite, my brother pitched his tent next to the van. The rest of us were going to sleep in the van. The campsite was in an area with a horseshoe-shaped rocky terrace ledge that rose from around 50 feet to around 100 feet as it curved around behind the 4 campsites. Because of mature trees and thick brush, daylight had trouble poking into our spot. Fast forward to that night, sometime around 3:30 a.m. There always seems to be a lot of stuff happening at 3:30 a.m. So I heard some animal sounds on the ridge that I thought were being made by coyotes. The babies were asleep and all was quiet otherwise. I peered out the window but couldn't see what was making the sounds because it was so dark. Still hearing odd yips and howls, I laid back down on the back seat. Moments later, there was a huge crashing bang on the van wall right next to my head. Nope. My husband leapt up out of a full sleep. My brother bolted out of his tent and jumped into the van with us. We were all in a panic, looking in every direction trying to see what had hit the van like that. My brother finally yelled that he saw something moving behind the van. We all turned just in time to see a large shadow moving about 20 feet behind the van from left to right. After about 20 minutes had passed without any of us seeing movement out there, my husband and brother went out to inspect the van for damage, but found none. We then started hearing pounding steps coming from the brush about 50 feet behind us. The guys eased back into the front seat of the van. That's when my husband turned on the headlights and stepped on the brake pedal for rear light. Instantly, there was a huge commotion. He started the engine, and that's when, in the glow from the headlights, we could see a hairy thing 10 feet away, but coming towards the van. As it got closer, its silver-tipped hairs glistened in the light. It had a grayish streak from its shoulders down its back to its buttocks. The creature was walking on 2 legs, was around 7 or 8 feet tall, had a barrel chest and skinny legs. It never gave us a good view of its eyes, so I can't tell you what they looked like. I could see that the face was not ape-like. It was dog-like. Its ears had tufts of fur on top of them, and it was very human-like in its movements and general body structure. It moved smoothly and quickly around the back of the van, where it followed the base of the ridge away from us. That's when it let out a menacing huff and a low rumbling growl, like a dog. Insanely, my husband and brother bolted from the van, trying to get a better look. That's when the shower of gravel came at us. My husband and brother tore back into the van and burned up the road, getting us out of there. I kept looking out the back window, and they looked in the rearview mirrors, but none of us ever saw it again. It just didn't seem like a Sasquatch was what we had seen. It seemed too dog-like in its face and was too slim in its body. I still have PTSD-like feelings to this day due to that encounter. And that happened in Benton County, Arkansas.
That's right down your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half from me.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's close enough, that's for sure. Seems like I've heard an encounter like that before. I don't know if this is the same one, but
It sounds a lot like, or a lot of the same elements from the original LBL story.
yeah, it kind of does. I agree with you there.
The story is different as far as the things, but there's a lot of elements like the campground, and they were in a van, and the other were in like a little Airstream that kind of sort of resembles a van. Things banging on it. There's a lot of elements that lend back to that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I believe I'd have a brown pants moment if it was trying to get into my van, though.
Yeah. That's why doors have locks.
Which, and because I hadn't seen it in forever, but I was scrolling through the other night just trying to find something to watch, and I rewatched The Creature from Black Lake again. I forgot how good that movie was for the age it was filmed. There was a lot of stuff in that movie that's really pertinent and things that we kind of just take for granted today, that it's known behavior and known things. But that's what reminded me is that scene where it flipped the van and rolled it down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
That's just I forgot how good that movie was. I mean, it's cheesy.
It's been a minute.
It's a 70s cheesy movie, but so the acting, but the things that they talk about the creature, the things they say, the things that they say it does, and the way it acts, and things like that, they never outright, except for that very first scene where they're walking in the hall, or when the professor's talking about it, he does say skunk ape, but that's the only time that they refer to it as a skunk ape. But they talk about how bad it smells, and they talk about, I mean, it's just, after rewatching that again, I think that kind of moves up a lot higher on my list of really good Bigfoot and Sasquatch movies. Yes, I know. Hush. She said she liked it too because she was watching it with me. Yeah.
Was it good, Kitty?
Yep. Wyatt said, "Was it good?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
Actually, she was looking out the window, and that's when she turned around and looked at me after looking out the window. So there might be something out there that's got her attention.
Got a dog man looking in your window.
I think she'd be over here on my lap if it was something like that, looking in the window.
On your hat.
Probably.
Hissing and spitting.
And Dumb and Dumber would be making a ruckus if that was going on.
I got one for you. This one's a Class B from here in Missouri, up in Miller County, just outside of Eldon, Missouri. Name and age and all that has been omitted for privacy. He says, I believe to have a very large creature that comes and goes off my property of 50 acres just outside of Eldon. Part of my property has unusual broken over trees, as well as what appears to be small dens where cedar trees are pulled over and bent to the ground with other limbs busted and placed on top of the cedars. Many new breaks of cedars and other large shrubs in the same area have appeared this summer in the same area of the property. My family and I, as well as our neighbors, have heard wood knocks come from that area. My son and I were both spooked by a very loud roar-like noise one evening, and one night a large creature was moving through the field. In 2017, my wife and I had just put our boys to bed and returned to the living room to watch TV. About 10 minutes later, our dog started barking in an aggressive manner on the porch, which got my attention, as well as my boys, who got out of bed. I invited our dog inside the house and took my spotlight out, and I came across a large set of orange glowing eyes at least 8 feet off the ground. I motioned for my wife to come out and look at it as my oldest boy came out with her. We watched for at least 2 minutes or a little longer, and it would look from behind an oak tree it was trying to hide behind. I began yelling at it, saying things like, "We see you," and then it ran, catching its full side view. Nothing else unusual, however. My wife, my boy, and myself were all very startled at the size and speed of it as it ran away. We commented to one another about the size of its arms that were very massive. It was a cold, clear night around 10:30.
Yeah, seeing the glowing red eyes, that would be creepy for sure.
Yeah.
And seeing them, like when we were out at Combs Ferry, or if we go out to Joe Bald and we see it, that's one thing. You see it off your front porch, that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah.
And
red is going to add, in my opinion, adds a whole different level to it. That amber and the green. Yeah. But you see something glowing red looking at you like that, that throws a whole nother level of, to it.
I agree. That almost makes it seem like there may be an evil presence to it.
Well, and you think about that when you hear people, a lot of people talk about the dogmen that they encountered, which we've talked about this. I think that these encounters not necessarily what DA encountered or what I saw. I think these are a whole different ball game, so to speak. But you talk about they say those red glowing eyes, and they describe them as demonic or hellhounds. I think that's exactly what, or damn near close to what you're actually seeing in those circumstances. It's something like that.
I agree. Well, that night me and Richard seen that where we caught the silhouette of the thing with the snout. I mean, those weren't red glowing eyes, but when I looked into them, I could sense an evil kind of presence. But there was 4 or 5 sets of eye shine, so I'm just glad they didn't all get up and, start coming towards us.
Yeah, no joke.
Because if they wanted us, they had us dead to rights. I mean, they would have caught some lead and steel, but it wouldn't have been enough. That's for sure.
Probably not. You just a second, boys. I'm looking for something.
You want me to read another one while you're looking for whatever you're looking for, DA?
Yeah, go ahead. That would be awesome.
All right. This is still in South Carolina. This is a little bit further down towards the Myrtle Beach area. It's in Hartsville, which is in the lower part of the state. And this is from March 13th of 2006. And it was in the wintertime, and it's a Class A sighting. About 2 miles from Bobo Newsom Highway. It occurred on Highway 15. I was on my way home from work in Bishopville, traveling, which that's ring a bell to you, DA? Bishopville?
Mm-hmm.
What else is famous for down there too, right? Do you know what?
I guess not, Robbie. I'm sorry.
Bishopville, Lee County, all that. That's where the lizard man is famous.
Okay.
Yep. Skateboard Swamp runs through Bishopville and Lee County. So that's why it has the name of Beast of Bishopville, or the creature from Skateboard Swamp. Sounds familiar. Or the Lizard Man of Lee County. That's the 3 main names it's known for. So anyway, where was that? Coming home from work on Bishopville, or from Bishopville, traveling on Highway 15 at approximately 2:10 a.m. I had a near miss with a large deer near Lida that had me shaking and on alert for a possible deer on the roadway. I made a left onto Highway 15 to 15 North and drove about 3 miles. I knew this sounded familiar. I have been on this highway. You remember when I went to my specific skills class, and I told you I almost hit a deer with my patrol car, DA?
Yeah.
That was on Highway 15 North going back towards Bishopville. So I know this exact stretch of road. I drove about 3 miles when I noticed a large shape on the road on the other lane ahead of me, or ahead of my car about 100 yards. I assumed it was another deer, so I slowed my car down to about 30 to 40 miles per hour to allow me for time if the animal tried to cross in front of me. As I approached nearer to this shape, I noticed that it was human-like because it was standing erect on 2 legs. And it had arms like a man. However, when I got within 40 feet of the creature, I realized that it wasn't a bear or deer, and that it appeared to be very tall. I floored it because I was very afraid. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that I was safe. I was safer sitting. I was safer than I would be as a sitting duck. That really didn't make sense. I guess he meant if he wasn't stopped, if he was still moving. So we're gonna go with that. As I passed this creature, it seemed like it lunged towards my car and nearly took my side mirror off. I looked out my driver's side window and noticed that it had shoulders that were above the top of my van. I also noticed that it was covered with hair that was a light color. I didn't see the face of this creature, only its body and the outline of it as I approached. That's pretty dang scary. and almost took the side view mirror off. But I know, and that is a very, very remote stretch of woods, or road rather, because that's the one I told you about, where I was driving and all of a sudden that deer was just standing in the middle of the road, and I had to lock it up to keep from, squaring that thing up. That was that exact stretch of road.
Well, I found what I was wanting to share with you all. I'm not too long ago, we had a guest on was talking that they didn't really believe they were violent. Remember?
Oh yes, I remember.
Well, this comes from a Bigfoot group up in Michigan. They compiled the resources, but I tend to agree with it. So check this out. It says when I hear the tired narrative, they just want to be left alone. I think. Let me swap these pictures if I can. Ain't wanting to switch them. Hold on. What the heck? It normally will let you switch them.
I mean, that's pretty dang.
Yeah, but it gets better. Let me bring these up. Okay, let's see if this will let me do it now. Here we go. Okay. These statistical compilation of U.S. North America, including Michigan, encompassing all the years. 9,551 reports of aggressive Bigfoot. 1,818 reports of gunfire response to Bigfoot. 17,090 reports of Bigfoot incursions in and around occupied homes. Now I'm going to have to pull up the other one because it will not let me, for whatever reason, flip from image to image like it normally does. And okay, now here's the other image. I think you guys might find this kind of interesting. 3,353 reports of house and car poundings. 1,638 reports of chasing or charging animals, cars, and people. 618 reports of abductions and attempted abductions. 1,378 reports of property damage. Collision with Bigfoot, 327. Throwing objects, 1,444. Law enforcement involvement, 3,014. 247 reports of forced entry, 858 reports of stolen food, and 2,786 reports of it watching children. So I think we can put the it just wants to be left alone story to rest.
Well,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there.
Maybe most of the sighting encounters you get are people, oh, I saw it, it took off, whatever. But there are plenty of Bigfoot attacks.
look, you can make that argument with things like,
And that argument with a grizzly bear. I've had a nose-to-nose encounter that was peaceful. Doesn't mean it wouldn't have ate me given the right opportunity.
well, look at something that you got that's more. How many people? And I know this is a shark thing again, but how many people go swimming in the oceans every day?
Millions.
And how many sharks are in the ocean?
Probably millions.
Millions. And you get 5. And now I know there are places like India and remote places in Africa where people get taken by Zambezi sharks, possibly it could be crocodiles. Who knows? But there are things that don't get reported. But of what gets reported worldwide, globally, you get about 5 people killed a year with sharks. You can look at that and say, okay, the argument is sharks aren't hunting us. If they were, the numbers would be astronomical because of how many people are in the ocean daily. That works because you have that huge sample size, because everybody goes to the beach. Everybody goes in the ocean. Well, not everybody, but most people. There's not that big a sample size of people being in areas where these things are. So to have the argument he had, it's kind of asinine to say it the way he did because the sample sizes are so much different. So if you've got 30,000 people or let's even go that. Say you got 10,000 people that go into this national park, and 1,400 of them are getting harassed. That immediately makes your sample or makes the math that he was trying to math not math.
Well, I would say I'd be willing to bet on a fairly good amount of odds that there are far more people in the ocean every day than there are in the deep woods.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So you can use that argument for that, because
a lot of people that go to national or go to state parks, but how many are really off the beaten path?
Exactly. When you got like places like Cades Cove, where people, probably 90% of the people that go to Cades Cove never get out of their car, and they drive all the way through, maybe slow down a little bit to look at an animal or whatever, and then keep on driving and drive out. So, but what I'm saying is you can use his argument more so for that, because there's not as many people per number of sharks that swim in the ocean and people who swim in the ocean. The attacks are way less if you're going to say that sharks were after people. That I'm not saying shark attacks don't occur,
because they definitely do.
What I'm saying is, because we were saying that Bigfoots were aggressive towards people, and he was saying no, they just want to be left alone, because of this numbers. So I'm saying, if you were going to make the argument that sharks were hunting people, you couldn't make that argument because the numbers are so low. I'm not saying that shark attacks don't occur.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Chris Burkhardt says some might not be a threat, but it ain't Harry and the effing Hendersons. He ain't wrong.
100% agree.
I would say, like I was saying the other day, that they're very opportunistic.
Yeah.
And any predator has to examine whether or not that meal's worth it. Because getting wounded, it's not like they can pop over to the ER and get patched up. Any serious wound out there is likely a death sentence, even for a big predator.
And they have statistically proven that that's what turns things like bears, mountain lions into man-eaters. They get older and they can't hunt their normal prey. They get hurt and they can't hunt their normal prey. So what do they go after? Something they know that they can kill and not get hurt. Maybe the same for Bigfoot.
What was that saying you
used
used?
That way.
What was that saying you used to say, DA? They, they get where they can't really hunt their normal prey, and they go after the guy out in the woods wearing headphones and khaki shorts and listening to some sort of song. I can't remember what you said, but
that's it looks one way and sees a deer running 40 mile an hour, and looks another way and sees some guy bipping along, listening to Fleetwood Mac in a set of iPods, and
there it is.
Wearing Birkenstocks and not paying attention. It's like, I wonder what that tastes like.
Yep. I couldn't remember exactly how you put it, but
he don't look fast to me.
Plus, he's not paying attention.
He ain't paying attention.
I think, like I said, I think it's asinine to sit there and make that kind of statement especially when you have numbers like that. And how many stories? Of course, that story didn't really happen. I know, because I know this. Oh, okay, great, fine, but still, there's plenty of people out there who report these things happening. They're happening for a reason.
There was another story we mentioned by name, the Siege of Lockett Ranch, and while he did say that he had someone reach out to him that said that they never heard of that, I've had people that are from that area go, yeah, that most definitely happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if you can just definitively say this story's true, this story's false, but I've talked to people from the Taylor, Mississippi area. They're like, yeah, that kind of crap happens around here. It's still happening.
Didn't Kumbo tell us when he was on the show that night that he's had several people that were there and knew it, that had talked to him?
Kumbo said he believed that was a real story. Miss Lene says, plus, how fast can one really run in Birkenstocks? You go a trip.
Well, not only do you have all these other, like you were putting all the statistics up there, you've got lots of historical accounts of them being violent. I mean, the 8 Canyon incident. What was the one down in Florida in the swamp where they were looking for the slave or the escape person, and it killed every one of them, but like a couple of them ripped their heads off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you got the
Choctaw Bigfoot War.
and then the one we did the show on, and what was it? The one where they were tearing heads off.
Oh yeah, that was down in Arkansas.
No, it was not. It wasn't in Arkansas. It was another one we did where I want to say it was in. No, it wasn't Missouri. Anyway, but there was another one that it was just show. It was just me and you, and we talked about, and it was, and I want to say Miss Naoma was talking about that one with us one time.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Something Mountain.
Moss Mountain.
Yeah, Arkansas. Moss Mountain. The Moss Mountain. That was Arkansas.
Okay, it was Arkansas. Okay, I was thinking it was somewhere else, but maybe anyway.
Chris Burkhart says, y'all have talked about it before. If they move in groups, the hunter that takes the shot gets unalived by the ones he didn't see. I think that's exactly what happens. The missing hunters, I think they took the shot. I've talked to so many different hunters that, like, I had this thing in the crosshairs of my rifle, and I thought about shooting it, but it looked like it might actually be a guy in a suit. So I didn't want to take the shot on the off chance I'm killing a guy. He said it looked too human for me to. I knew it wasn't a bear. I knew it wasn't anything like that. They looked too human to take the shot. I didn't want to risk it, and I think the guys that took the shot probably the ones that went missing.
Yeah, just the guy and Cajun Dog both mentioned the Headless Valley.
Yeah, Nahanni Valley.
Nahanni Valley.
Yeah.
So there are lots of stories out there of truly violent encounters.
Well, Kumbo talks about the one where the guy was out in Colorado being guided by a younger guide, and they were watching a group of mule deer come out, and they watched the Bigfoot come out and grab one of the deer, and the hunter took the shot while the guide was trying to tell him, no, don't do that, and it came and started ripping him to pieces. And the guide was able to get away, but that was only because he threw his gun down and ran.
Well, Greg House was saying that he was in an area down there near where he lives on a motorcycle and just barely got out of the area.
Because the motorcycle was irritating me.
I get the feeling they don't like loud noises.
Yeah. Especially when they're trying to sleep.
And if they're largely nocturnal, that means they're probably sleeping during the day.
Yep.
I know how ticked off I used to get if people wake me up during the day when I work nights.
Amen to that.
I remember years ago, I was working overnights in a warehouse. This was before I married Annette. We were dating at the time, and I was living in this little basement apartment. And I worked, like I said, overnights in a warehouse. And every morning, about 10 a.m., these two Jehovah's Witnesses had beat on my door. And I kept telling them, leave me alone. They kept knocking. So finally, I went up. I was laying in bed and I heard the knock on the doors right about the right time. So I stood up and yanked off my night shorts and my underwear and opened that door butt naked. I'm like, what? And I was expecting to be the freaking... No, it was my roommate's mother.
Oh, no.
Whoops. Sorry, I was expecting somebody else.
Yeah. She's like, clearly you were expecting somebody else. Like, I am so sorry.
DA, I've got a little one. If you want me to read it.
Go for it.
All right. Get her pulled up here. All right, this one says early morning road crossing north of Branson. So this is in between me and UDA. Taney County, Missouri. In the fall season, class A sighting. Take Highway 248 north out of Branson, approximately 3 to 4 miles. I was driving to work on Highway 248 north of Branson, Missouri, traveling south on the road. I came around the corner and was a good distance from the vehicle in front of me, approximately 200 yards or so, and a Bigfoot crossed the road between us. It was early morning, so it was still dark, and I saw it in the headlights of my Jeep. It crossed the road from left to right in front of me in maybe 3 or 4 steps. It was taller than the truck that was in front of me. Later, as I caught up to the truck, I found out it was the full-size Chevy 1500. The Bigfoot was upright on 2 legs and was brownish grayish in color. It disappeared off the right side of the road up a hill into the brush. And that was all for that one.
That's all he got to say about that.
All I got to say about that. It was brief, but I mean, still a visual.
Though.
It was definitely a visual encounter. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a sighting like that where it just walks in front of the car. But for some reason, I figure when I finally do get to see one, it's going to be up close and personal.
Those ain't always bad, though.
That's true.
Sorry, I was looking at something. Looking like the print won't be up tonight. I've got to fix an issue with the cover. So the Kindle's available. Print might be out. Might be a day or two until I can get this cover fixed.
Sure.
Says the spine is too wide by 0.06 inches.
Both my last ones, or well, not both, but the book 2, like, was a thorn in my, because it was like I'd get the error message, I'd send it to the artist, she'd fix it, I'd send it back, and it was the other way. It's like it was point whatever this way the first time, and she fixed it, and it was the other way this time.
It's 1.6 millimeters too big.
That's.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it, but I'm not
Anybody
going
would
to.
even notice.
You know how I finally fixed it? I went in and highlighted all my text and dropped it to font size, and it worked.
Oh, this is just on the cover.
No, that's how I fixed it, because it was saying that. So I dropped it to font size, and it worked. Because it was.
I'll when we get off here, I'll get a hold of Zach and have him adjust that. Yeah, because the only thing it's saying is wrong is just the spine. So
I hate getting those little red lines around everything. I'm like, ugh!
I was wondering why it wasn't up, so I went and checked my messages from KDP.
So does Amazon themselves check that kind of stuff and give you the go ahead?
Yeah, when you upload your manuscript, it goes through and it says it tells you success, your manuscript's been uploaded, but then it goes through and reads through it, I guess, checking for copyrights and plagiarism, things like that. But then you download your picture for your cover, basically download your cover. That goes through the same process. Then it's got another little tab over there that you hit preview. When you hit preview, it'll pop up the picture of your cover, front and back, like you open it up and you see the front and back and see the spine. And what you're looking for is a green line all the way around it, because that means you're good. But what DA's talking about, there's this little red line. It's either, and it's gutter and slop, I think, are what the two terms are called. Like gutter is spine. Is that right, DA?
Yeah.
And slop is margins. So if it's gutter, then it's your picture. If it's slop, then it's your margins, and things got to be. It's got to be just right, because if the spine is not measured right, then it's going to throw things off, and you may get an entire chapter cut out. The way it's got to be. So you got to keep going back and getting there. You send them out and say, "Hey, it's saying it's out of gutter this much or whatever," and they've got to readjust the size of the image, and it's fun. It's fun.
Like
I thought he was pulling my leg when he said writing's the easy part. He wasn't pulling my leg.
yeah, it's getting it put out there. There's the hard part in it.
Well, and I'm sure it's a lot. I don't know. DA could probably answer this better than I could because he actually went through a publisher at one point. I'm sure there's things that are easier, but I'm sure there's things that are harder. Either way you go.
Yeah.
Do you guys self-publish your books, or?
I do now. I started out with a small publishing company, wound up having to take them to court to get my rights back because they were making money. They just weren't paying me.
That's never good.
Yeah, I got my rights back, but I'm pretty sure I never got all my money.
Yeah.
So DA is our publishing company now.
There you go.
Well, I've got one. This one's from 1977. It's about 30, 40 miles from where I'm at right now. It's over in Lawrence County, down near down near Mount Vernon. Happened in the summer of 1977. Says the one I saw was right at Highway 174 and Highway N outside of Mount Vernon, Missouri. Coming from I-44, you go towards Chesapeake and Republic on 174, maybe a little less than 2 miles on the N Highway. And there's a convenience store on the corner that didn't used to be there. So that's typical Missouri directions right there. That was in 1977. It was late summer, early fall. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my younger sister and I were out in our living room window. We're looking out our living room window and saw a big, hairy, ape-like creature walking upright. It walked across our yard and into the woods. It looked like it came across the road from the angle it was walking, but we didn't see it cross. We didn't see it until it was almost to the side of the house. It was only about 100 feet away from us, and we got a good look at it. I still live in the same house where this happened. It was dusk, but still bright enough outside to see well. It looked right at us, and of course it scared us at the time. We told our mom, but she didn't believe us. But to calm us down, she told us to hide in the bathroom. So we did. Its hair was a dark reddish brown, but the red tint could have been seen from the sun coming down. It was about 6'6" or so feet tall, stocky, broad-shouldered, hairy, and naked. It was not human. It had way too much hair for that. Most people in the area do not act too surprised when Sasquatch are mentioned. I hope you can prove their existence for good, but I hope they don't get harmed in the process. They don't seem to harm anyone or anything, and it would be a shame to harm them. You never hear of anyone, human or animal, they'll disagree with this. Never hear one human or animal being attacked by them, so why should we attack them? Not necessarily true, but if it's not messing with you, don't mess with it.
Well, that was in what, 1977, you said?
Mm-hmm.
That was before the advent of the internet where people could actually convey that. So probably if you didn't hear it in that area, you probably thought that back then. Now we have that access and we can find that, and we know things are different now.
I know that area she's talking about. And that's a pretty buggery area. My wife and I used to geocache all the time. And we found just out that same direction outside of Mount Vernon. I could take you right to it. There's this old cemetery outside of Mount Vernon. And you know how in most cemeteries, the graves all face east? This one doesn't. The graves are just kind of every direction. Some of them were looked like they'd been partially dug up or collapsed. It's a really old cemetery. And we were there. It was Annette, all three of my boys, because they were pretty little at the time, and we had our dog with us. And we were looking for geocaches. And when we got into the cemetery, we had a bull mastiff at the time named Coda. And Coda started acting weird. And I looked over on the far side of the cemetery, and this ginormous black dog. And Coda was probably 140 pounds. He was like I said, he was a bull mastiff. This dog was way bigger than Coda. It came out of the trees. It was completely black. Wouldn't come anywhere closer to us, and just sat there and stared at us from the edge of the trees. Coda was like hackles up and growling and backing up. So we took the kids back to the car and put Coda in the car. And I turned around and was snapping pictures. I was trying to get pictures of the dog. And because we had a little digital camera back then. And if I want to see if I can find this picture, I know we've still got it somewhere, but I'll have to see if I can hunt it up. But when I got back to the car and I started snapping pictures, the dog was gone. But when Annette and I got home and we're looking at those digital photos on her laptop, in one of the trees, but at the back of the cemetery, the entire tree looked like an enormous black dog.
The black dog.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, we haven't been back to it since.
Think it was a hellhound?
We ain't been back since. I don't know what it was, but we got the uneasy feeling we weren't supposed to be there.
Could have been a hellhound.
Could maybe. I don't know. I don't know what, but it was completely black. And like I said, that whole cemetery just had an odd vibe to it right from the get, because some of the graves were like partially open, and none of them weren't facing all the same direction. They were just at odd angles all over the place.
Yeah, and if Pagan Trucker's still on, he might know a little bit more about this than I do. But the black dog that truckers talk about seeing, I wonder if that's got any connection or correlation with those black hell. Because if you listen to a lot of the stories they talk about, black eyes or red eyes, solid black, shows up when you do something wrong type thing. I wonder if there's any connect, because they actually call it the black dog on the trucker side, but most of the time when you hear people describe hellhounds, they describe them the exact same way as the black dog that truckers see.
Black Shuck, that giant black hound that attacked 2 churches in England. Yep. Pagan Trucker says, being a trucker, I've heard stories about the black dog, and I've personally seen it twice.
So Cajun said he's seen it too.
I imagine there's a lot of correlation there. I mean, like I said, I guess it depends on what part of the country you're standing in as to what exact legend you're going to hear. But what I've heard is, like, if you're pushing too hard and you're doing the stuff that you're not supposed to do on the road, that's when you see it. But then I've heard other stories, it just, who knows, it might just appear to you. So Cajun or Pagan might can answer that better than I can. That's just what I've heard. So.
Hold on, I'm scrolling back to see if I can find, because there was a conversation going on and I missed it.
Yeah, LS, that's a Patrick Swayze did make a movie called Black Dog, and there was a little bit about the dog in there, but very, very little. I mean, it was kind of like the reason he was there, but it really very dipped its toe into the story, basically. Still a good movie.
Roxanne says she knows about the that graveyard that I'm talking about. It's just, it feels odd. I mean, just when you step out of the car, the place just doesn't feel right.
Oh, Pagan says both times I saw it, I'd been running hard and was going on 40 plus hours of driving without sleep, and both times it almost ended up in fatal accidents. So that lends the first one I told you earlier, you pushing yourself, doing stuff you shouldn't be doing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, almost like a bad omen, like you said there. DAExMachiNation asks, what is a hellhound?
There's a few different versions of what a hellhound is, but for the most part, it's kind of believed that they're demonic hounds, massive demonic hounds that have red glowing eyes, and in some cases even talk about them breathing fire. But they're just a massive dog, a massive hound that tends to be sent after to collect souls. In a lot of cases, like I don't know if you're familiar with the old blues, the old Delta blues player Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson was believed to have sold his soul for the ability to play Delta blues, and a lot of his music was like Hellhound on My Trail, Crossroads Blues. I mean, just rife with occult imagery. And he died unexpectedly, just suddenly. And there's a very big belief that he sold his soul to play Delta blues. Hell of a musician. His music is still just hauntingly beautiful. You haven't heard Robert Johnson, you need to listen. He's the king of the Delta blues. But yeah, stuff like that. Generally, it's a massive black dog that's sent to collect souls. Hellhound on My Trail. Yeah, Cajun dog knows.
Pagan said if we want to do a show sometime on devil dogs and black dogs and things like that, he'd be willing to come on and talk about stuff he's seen. Also, another, and I don't know if this is just something that was created out of the stories or if it goes back further, but a lot of times people say that the dogs that are the hounds that protected Dracula and protect vampires for sleep, they were actually, because if you trace the lineage of Dracula, he got his powers from the devil, but they were, he needed a guardian to protect him while he slept. So Satan gave him hellhounds to protect him while he slept. So that's another description of what, the hounds of Dracula were actually hellhounds.
Roxanne says, "Don't hellhounds also, for some reason, start going after cars?" There've been cases of them chasing vehicles, and in England they referred to it as the Black Shook. And in the Middle Ages, it attacked 2 churches, and one of those churches is still standing. And to this day, you can still see the claw marks in the door. Maisie says, "So is it good or bad?" Well, with a name like Hellhound, I'm going to wager on the side it ain't good.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with lean the same direction.
Same.
I mean, if it's protecting a vampire or if it's coming after souls to take them to hell.
Just Ryan says, Supernatural had the Hellhound episode collecting souls and mentioned the blues guy from the Delta. Yeah, that was Robert Johnson. I do like Supernatural. I've been listening to Robert Johnson for way longer than I've heard of Supernatural.
Think back to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That, what's his name? That was a play on that. I met this guy at the crossroads. So told him, I sold my soul to him. So he told me, he teach me how to play this guitar real good. That was
the movie with Ralph Macchio, Crossroads, was basically based on Robert Johnson.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot. That reference has been in pop culture a lot.
Chris Burkhardt says this show focuses on what most of us believe is natural critters. A show now and again on supernatural might be fun. Well, I think you're gonna enjoy Saturday. We're gonna have Brett Sturdivant from Highway to the Hidden on, and we're gonna be talking about the Atlantis Antarctica connection. So definitely gonna be a lot of supernatural involved in that.
And next Wednesday's show will probably venture into a lot of supernatural stuff too. Because we'll have Coley will be back. She had some technical difficulties. Her phone broke, crashed, whatever happened, and she was locked out of everything because she was supposed to be on a couple Wednesdays ago, I think. So we have she's from
on the 5th.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry. She was supposed to have been on the 2nd, Wednesday the 2nd.
So
just checking.
But we just had shows lined up before then or after then, so we couldn't replace it. So she will be on week from tonight, and it's probably going to venture into the supernatural that night too, because she does a lot of UFO and supernatural. She does some cryptid stuff too, but she does a lot of supernatural and UFO type stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff, we got a couple shows coming.
I don't delve into the paranormal very much, but I've had a lot of paranormal experiences over my lifetime. I don't talk to them very often. I don't
delve into it either, but I'll sit here and talk about it. But I ain't actively going. Y'all joke about needing a Robbie Wrangler. You don't need one when it comes to supernatural stuff and ghosts, because Robbie probably ain't gonna get out of the car on that. Who we kidding?
some of
I'll
the
get out I'll get out the car, but I ain't gonna chase it down. Okay,
you're gonna get out the car
I'll
with
chase it down, but still, I'll come back when I'm called on this one.
yeah, but you're gonna have a cross and a Bible with you when you jump out the car.
You dang Skippy.
Squirt gun
I've,
filled with holes.
Yeah,
Always.
the stuff I had wasn't ghosts, so I don't like to talk about it. But
Well, I don't blame you. I mean, if it's something that still kind of creeps you out, I wouldn't talk about it, because the Native Americans, I think, were more correct about that than most people realize. The more you talk about stuff like that, the more you tend to attract it.
right,
Well, it's I've heard William talk about this. It's opening that portal, opening that door, opening yourself up to it. You talk about it and you don't respect it. I think that was the exact words he uses. If you talk about it and you don't respect it and you don't show the proper restraint, I guess is the best way. That's when you open yourself up for stuff like that. And what happened to that girl I worked with? Her and her partner played around with a dang Ouija board. They were on night shift and they got a Ouija board, went to the freaking graveyard in the city and started messing around with the Ouija board, and then was wondering why bad stuff started happening to them. I'm like, gee, I wonder.
that'll do it.
Played with the Ouija board in the graveyard.
Yeah, they're just kind of inviting it at that point.
Yeah.
I've never had one, and I don't ever want to use one.
Robbie, you got a story ready?
Yep. Hang on just a second.
Action.
Just answering a message. All right. This one is in Chesterfield County in South Carolina. I stayed in South Carolina, so I figured I'd just stay around this area tonight. This was from October 17th of 2003. And did I say it was in fall already? Anyway,
Yeah, I think
I didn't. And it's Class A sighting. Highway number 1 north to McBee. Turn left onto Highway 151. Go about 6 to 8 miles and turn left at a little country. You said Missouri directions. This is South Carolina directions too. Turn left at the little country store on Highway 903. Then go 2 or 3 miles and turn right at the second paved road. This is where you'll take you to the turkey farm. My coworker and I worked on a turkey farm, and at about 12:30 a.m. one night in October of 2003, I began smelling a strange smell that I'd never smelled before on a bird farm. I began shining my Q-beam spotlight around in the darkness, and I noticed something standing behind a barn across from me. I could see the animal picking up acorns or something off the ground. The animal didn't like my spotlight because it would block the light with its hand. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I ran over to my coworker that was working the other feed truck to warn him as to what I'd seen. He laughed and said for me to quit trying to scare him. I told him I was serious and he would see it if it was still there. Since it was behind the last barn we had to pump feed in, I noticed it when he startled. He shined the spotlight and saw this large creature for himself. He claimed that this creature started walking towards him, and it really shook him up because he ran in front of his truck and sped to the front of the farm where I waited on him. Sorry, this is not written very well, but it is what it is. He was as white as a ghost, and he claimed that the creature was between 8 and 10 feet high and as broad as 2 linebackers. I told him that's exactly what I'd seen. So what it sounds like is the first guy saw it. He went and told the second guy. The second guy didn't believe him. But then when the second guy kept on doing his job, he come around, he saw it, and they both saw it at 2 separate times is what it sounds like. Is that what you took from it, DA? Why?
Yeah, it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
So they first one didn't believe him, and then he kept on doing his job, and then eventually he saw exactly what the other guy saw, took off running, went and described it, and he's like, yep, that's exactly what I saw. Wasn't written that way, but that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, those turkey farms can be creepy after dark. I used to work on a turkey farm when I was a lot younger, and it's kind of creepy behind those houses when you out there walking around behind them.
I got a short one for you. This is a dogman sighting. This is at Marramac Springs Caverns here in Missouri. That's up towards St. Louis. But I've been to these caverns many a times. There's a campground right outside the caverns. They said Jesse James used it as a hideout. It was also used by the Union to store ammo and gunpowder to keep it dry back during the Civil War. But I know this area pretty well. I've been up there a lot. This happened in 2017. I said almost 3 years ago now. It was almost fall. I was heading up to get my husband from his mother's house about an hour away from where we live. It was dark and the road had just turned into a gravel road. There's woods on one side and a creek and a commercial farm on the other side. This dark gray thing came from the creek side and jumped across the road. I could make out its back, but definitely saw a tail like a dog's. I told him and his mom that I saw a donkey running across the road in front of me, but the tail looked like a dog's tail. I got laughed at for it. But I did stop my car and get out to look for the animal, thinking someone had lost a pet. A car pulled up but kept going. I was hoping that they would stop and ask me what was going on, but that didn't happen. I stood there for a couple seconds and thought that it was a dumb idea. A lot of horror movies start out like that after all. But that was the full extent of the sighting. However, I had another strange thing happen on a camping trip that I took with my husband and had some friends down to Marramac Springs Caverns in Missouri. Oh, I shouldn't include that. Didn't include that one. So just the one seeing what she believed was a dog man crossing the road by Marramac Springs. And I'm telling you, that's like almost like Blunk Road level thick woods.
That's another thing that I want us to eventually do is actually get out in the woods on Blanc Road. We've only been to Blanc Road at night, so I'm not saying let's go down there and walk around the woods at night, because every time we've been down there at night, not really been a safe environment to go traipsing around the woods. But maybe during the day,
those deer heads you found may start getting thrown at you instead of you just finding them.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to get clocked in the side of the head with a decapitated deer.
That'd be the place that it happened too.
Yeah,
That would.
We found enough because we found deer parts that night when Doc was there with us too, didn't we?
Sure did.
So you and I have never been on Blanc Road and not found pieces of deer.
Yeah, every time we're out on Blanc Road, something weird happens. And that's a boogery area too.
Yep.
Right there on the James River. That is some thick woods and not a whole lot of people around.
That, you know, if we could get like a big flat bottom skiff or something like that could hold a good bit of people, that would be a pretty fun thing to do. Would be float down that river at night.
Float down the river to the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Because their Blunt Road is far from Table Rock. It turns into Table Rock just within a couple miles.
That would be, if we could get our equipment, you know, get the Wyatt and Doc with both thermals, so one could watch one side, one could watch the other. You know, get set up to where we can plug them into like either some tablets or some laptops or something where we can monitor both sides of the river, do some call blasting as we're floating down the river. That would
quietly floating down the river is a great way to come up on something, especially if you're not making a lot of noise.
Yeah, especially in the dark. I'm down like 4 flat tires, as Doc would say.
I'm down.
DA, I've got one if you want me to read it real quick.
Fire it up, brother. Go right ahead.
All righty. All right, this is a Bigfoot sighting. Report 2957. Youths riding in the back of a pickup. have close observation of large biped crossing road. This is actually in my home county of Arkansas, Addison County. Was June 15th of 1970 in the summertime, Class A. Says they turned right off of Highway 74 at Draketown, Arkansas, and go about 3 to 4 miles to Georgetown. You'll become, well, my computer just went dead, so I can't read it, do you?
That's
my
all
screen.
right.
And there it goes. It's back. I guess it just timed out. I'm sorry about that.
You know what happens, dude?
Anyway, it says you'll be coming around a curve down a hill and cross a creek to the old store. These are Arkansas directions. The hill on the left side of the road is where we saw it. My brother Mark and I were riding in the back of my dad's green '69 Ford pickup in the early summer of 1970, just outside of Georgetown, Arkansas. My dad was driving, my grandpa was in the passenger seat, and my brother Larry was sitting between them. Mark was 9.5 at the time, and I had just turned 11. As we made the right turn on the new highway from Georgetown to Draketown, I saw something 30 to 40 yards up the hill from the road. At first, it was so tall that I thought it was the stump of a tree that had been struck by lightning. But as we passed it, accelerating up the hill, it began to move. In 3 steps, it was to the ditch at the side of the road, and then it took one long step across the ditch into the middle of the 2-lane highway. It turned its whole body to look at us going up the hill. Mark remembers a grayish splotch of fur on its chest, but otherwise the fur was dark brown in color, longish but not dangling, and it had red eyes. We recently discussed the incident with my dad in Springdale, Arkansas, and he remembered Elmer Drake in the 40s telling people around that area that he had seen what he thought was a gorilla that escaped from the zoo or a circus. Well, all I can say is it wasn't a gorilla.
Wild man of Borneo got off the circus train again.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I don't think Borneo's got any wild men left. As many
Escaped on circus trains here in
as many circus trains derailed in post-Civil War era, and every one of them had a wild man from Borneo escape off of it.
Yeah, they ought to be running out anytime.
You'd think.
Yeah.
That always seems to be the excuse. Well, there was a circus train derailed, and the wild man of Borneo. Although you look back, look actual for news articles, and you can't find a single one about a circus train derailing and losing the wild man of Borneo.
So I'm saying I don't know how Borneo could have any of them left. Because
no kidding.
Barnum and Bailey must have got every one of them. They lost every one of them too, apparently, but they got them from Borneo. They just couldn't keep them once they got them over here.
Right.
I got a fairly short one for you, boys. This is another one here in Missouri, not far from where that last one was. This was in Crawford County, Missouri, near Steelville. Highway 8, Thurman Lake Road area. Happened in the summer of '97. So I was camping by myself on a friend's private property near the Merrimack River in Steelville, Crawford County. I was getting ready to go to bed in my tent when I heard leaves and twigs on the ground crackling in the woods a few yards away. I thought it might be a deer. I got in my tent, which was a tall tent, about 10 feet tall, and left my lantern on outside. I was starting to fall asleep when I heard something big coming out of the woods. I was paralyzed. I saw the giant shadow on my tent from the lantern. It was about 8.5 feet tall with broad shoulders. I thought to myself, this is no black bear. I was only about 5 feet away from where my food containers were and my cooler. It opened my food containers and started eating my bread. I heard a low growling, and there were teeth marks found on that. I heard a low growling and found teeth marks the next day. It went through my cooler, dumped it all over, and stole my meat, like pork and beef steaks, and then ran into the woods. I heard some vocalizations down near the river. Couldn't sleep the rest of the night. Next day, I went down to the river on one of the sandbars and found some huge footprints. I wish that I'd had a camera with me, but I did not. I kept it to myself all of these years for fear of ridicule. And guess where that's at? The Mark Twain.
Oh, you don't say.
I never would have guessed it.
Right into Mark Twain. Mark Twain National Forest, responsible for 80% of the weird shit in Missouri.
Yeah, that's the way it seems, ain't it?
Yeah.
Well, the Ozark National Forest down in Arkansas is just as bad.
Oh, you're right.
And
That's where I've had a lot of my stuff happen.
over on the west side of the state from you, Wyatt, over in what they call the Boston Mountains, a lot of sightings in those mountains.
Well, I think that where I used to live, not too far away, there's a sign that says Boston Mountain or something. I can't remember, but I think I pretty much lived in the Boston Mountains. Is what it was.
Pretty rugged terrain.
Yeah.
Got another one.
Kevin,
Whenever you're ready.
Fire away, man.
All right. This is it says security policeman, but so take that for what it's worth. But it's okay. Myrtle Beach Air Force Base back when that was open. So it's what they call security forces in the Air Force DA. Is that their equivalent of the MPs?
I think they call them air police.
Okay, well, we're gonna say air police then. It's a Class A sighting from spring, and it is April 18th of 1974. So this one's as old as me. At the time of the sighting, I was on duty as a security police officer in the U.S. Air Force at Myrtle Beach Air Force Base, which was later named Shaw Air Force Base, but at the time it's called Myrtle Beach Air Force Base. I was patrolling on a security road called Serpentine at about 9 p.m. The temperature was pleasant. It was about 69 to 73 degrees. The Serpentine is a restricted area zone within the base and lies in a heavily wooded area. There was a full moon that night, so I turned off my headlights to see if I could follow the road with just the moonlight. It was very bright, and this was way easy to do once my eyes adjusted to the darkness. I remember driving around a curve when I decided to turn my headlights back on. Much to my surprise, I saw a creature in mid-stride just as it was about to leap over a ditch by the roadside. It made the jump with ease and disappeared in the tree line in about 3 seconds. The creature had light brown fur covering all over its body. It was not long, but not short either. As I had been trained to report situations of any nature as correctly as possible, I believed that the following information is fairly correct. The creature stood about 7 to 8 feet tall and probably weighed about 400 to 450 pounds. For its size and obvious weight, it had a remarkable agility and speed. The jump that it made cleared 14 to 16 feet with no problem. It had a body like a large human covered with hair. I called my flight chief and had him meet me out at the Serpentine Road, where I explained to him what I'd saw, as was my duty to do at the time. He said that he believed me, but thought that it was best, or in the best interest of my career, not to put that in the report not to put that report in the police blotter that night, and that I should simply forget about the incident altogether. Until now, I've done just that. So there again, like we go, there's a very, very, very credible witness. You know, somebody in the service and a policeman on top of that. So
yeah,
that
Miss Lene had an incident at her farm in southern Illinois. She had a Great Pyrenees dog that said it was about 10 years ago. Went to go outside, and a Great Pyrenees got between her and what she said looked to be a giant wolf. At the far end of her yard, and said that dog was normally afraid of man or beast, but it didn't want no part of that thing. And I said that sounded to me like this was not just a typical predator, because I've seen dogs chase wolves plenty of times. Wolves don't generally back dogs down, especially one-on-one. But she said this thing was massive, way bigger than what a normal wolf would be. So I think I think she saw a dogman on all fours.
Well, a Great Pyrenees is not going to back down from a normal wolf, especially not a lone wolf.
Right.
Because those things are bred to protect livestock from like mountain lions and bears and wolf packs. So a single wolf backing down a Great Pyrenees,
that's pretty unheard of.
Yeah, that's a tick in the old red flag area.
Yep. Miss Lene said they had 2 Pyrenees and they both backed off.
That's even worse.
That's even worse.
Yeah, 2 of them backing down from a single wolf. That's not what those dogs are bred for.
No.
Yeah, they weren't buying whatever he was selling.
In single fight, they'll generally come out on the upper end of a wolf.
Oh yeah, those dogs are massive. Johnny raises them, breeds them, and sells them, and the puppies are bigger than Bucky and Cap, and both of them are over 100 pounds each. And
yeah, those dogs get big.
Yeah, once whatever the year or whatever age they are when he gets ready to sell them, they're bigger than them 2 knuckleheads. And those, like I said, you've seen pictures of Bucky and Cap; they ain't small. And those pups Johnny sell are every bit as big, if not bigger, than them 2.
Yeah, they'd be a lot bigger than Harley. Harley's a good sized dog, but he ain't nothing compared to a Pyrenees or even a Mastiff.
You think about Cap's the size. He's the size of not a large wolf. He's the size of an average wolf. He's 107, 108 pounds. Big for a shepherd, but kind of on the smaller side for a wolf, but that size. And these Great Pyrenees pups are his size now.
Miss Lene said they killed coyotes all the time.
Oh yeah.
So there's no way they would have backed down from one lone wolf. Not a normal one.
One of them things.
Yeah, they're good stock dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Because they generally aren't afraid of anything.
Nope. So yeah, that definitely puts it in the factor if a lone wolf backed down 2 of them things.
Well, she also said that it was way bigger than any wolf she'd ever seen, like significantly bigger.
Like maybe would have had 7.5-inch tracks.
Yeah, that thought occurred to me. Like those tracks we found down at Joe Bald, those were some big honking tracks.
Or like the one I found behind my dad's shop. Coincidentally, that was not far from where the howl was recorded.
Yep. Leslie Trainham says, "Are Cap and Bucky a Marvel reference?" Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Yep.
Wyatt, what's your dog's names?
Doc and Oakley. Doc Holliday and Annie Oakley.
Good references there too.
Yeah, we figured Doc Holliday was Wyatt Earp's best friend, so might as well name the dog that.
That's funny. I like it.
I'm pretty sure Annie Oakley had some sort of tie-in with Wyatt Earp down the line too, if I remember right. Yeah, you used to have Mastiffs, didn't you?
Yeah, I had an English and a Bull Mastiff.
What were their names?
Xander and Coda. Don't have either of them anymore. We lost Coda to bone cancer, and Xander just got old. He was Mastiffs. Those big breeds, they don't live as long as like smaller breed dogs. For an English Mastiff, it's like between 6 and 8 years on average. We had Xander for 10. He lived a good life. He passed at home. He was comfortable. The vet said he was in good health. He was just old. He went to sleep one night, and Annette called me at work. She's like, "I think Xander just passed," and came home from work the next morning, and we buried him in the backyard. But yeah, he died very peacefully in his sleep. We had to have Coda put down because he had advanced bone cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that, buddy.
Those dogs were Oh, the absolute best. When the boys were little, the dogs could be eaten, and the boys go up and like take food from them, and they just look at them like, "The hell you doing? I was eating that." No aggression with the kids whatsoever. Just, I mean, hell, when the boys were little, they'd ride them.
I
They'd
love
get tired. They'd get tired of carrying the kids and just sit down and watch them slide to the floor.
I love watching videos like that. People talk. I hate it when people start talking bad about pit bulls. And I love to watch those videos. These big pit bulls just laying there with little babies just grabbing those jowls, and dogs just there going, like, "Are you done yet? I just want to sleep."
I'm a firm believer in it's all in how they're raised. I mean,
Oh yeah,
100%.
yeah. Harley's a pit bull mix, but that dog ain't got an aggressive bone in his body. We call him Scooby Doo because he's a big chicken.
yeah. Harley dog, he's a good boy.
He talks a big talk, but boy, as soon as somebody comes in the house that he don't know, he's hiding behind mom.
Until they sit on the couch for a little bit, then he comes over and wants to get petted.
Yeah,
That's the way he did me the first time. He growled and growled and growled. As soon as I sat down on the couch, it took him about 5 minutes. He was over here, had his head on my leg. Okay, go ahead.
Right. If you're going to stick around, you're going to pet me.
Exactly. Yeah, my female Annie Oakley, like you said, she talks a big game, but as soon as somebody walks in the house, she's running for cover and barking at them. She's not aggressive. She just likes to bark.
Yeah, Harley, like I said, like I said, Harley does talk a big game, but no. Oh yeah, let him out in the backyard the other day, and there was a rabbit not 6 feet from him, and he looked at the rabbit and looked at me and looked at the back at the rabbit like, "Am I supposed to chase that?" And I just looked at him, and he kind of did like this number at the rabbit, and it took off, and he was like, and then went on about his business. It's like, that's about as much chasing as I got in me.
Yeah, chasing's always fun when you're younger.
My male Doc Holliday, if there's squirrels or anything in the yard, he likes to chase it. He ended up getting one day. Well, no, it sounds gross, but I didn't let him have the squirrel. I took it inside and I had myself a meal out of it.
Well, I think this was a pretty good show for the first Nightmare Hunters podcast.
I agree. I think we had a good one. However, I do not have the outro ready. So tonight, you guys are going to have the old outro. New intro, old outro. But hopefully by Saturday, we'll have that one done. We were planning on having it ready for tonight, which is why I already had everything set and switched over. But Noah's been working extra hours, and we just didn't have time to get it done.
But think about it, DA. In with the new, out with the old.
So it's kind of symbolic.
That's true.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Wyatt, plug your channel, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me do that, DA. Me and my friend Richard, we started a podcast called Boone County Cryptids. We're fixing to start recording episodes. May have a couple of guys on the show pretty soon. But yeah, I appreciate everybody liking and subscribing. And if you haven't, we would love, if we earn it, we'd love to have your like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, guys.
And don't forget to check out the newest book from me, Lakeview Man, Dead of Winter, is now available in Kindle. Probably going to be a day or two before we get the print edition in, as I'm going to have my artist adjust. Apparently, the spine is 1.6 millimeters too big, so got to adjust it 1.6 millimeters so we can get it to pass. So I knew it was got to be too easy as it we had uploaded. Yeah, I'm like, well, yeah, I just figure something's going to happen. So hopefully we'll get that tonight or tomorrow uploaded, and then we'll have the print out as well. But if you want to read the Kindle edition, it is up and available now. So I hope you guys check that out. Robbie's new book. Robbie, tell us about your book.
I think I'm close to 46,000. I think. I mean, I'm like right there, about to hit 46. Or no, excuse me, I'm over 46. I'm about to hit 47. I'm like 46 and a half. Chapter 20 is what I'm working on now, and I'm pretty close to being done with that. I probably would have been done with chapter 20 today, but I come to a spot that I was like, I don't need to go any further till I talk to DA. So he and I talked before Wyatt came on tonight, matter of fact, and got a few, just a few little minor changes to what I had. We got it so everything's lined up better, and so I'll probably get that little bit finished tomorrow. Once I get chapter 20, one, maybe two more chapters, and it'll be done. So hopefully this week, and then I got to start worrying about the cover. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier on DA, and I'm trying to do my edits as I go, so he has less to do. I think we pretty much got it formatted already from what we did last time. So I don't think you're going to have as much to do on this one as you've had to do in the past, because I'm trying to learn a little bit along the way and do each one better, so he has less to do with his format, and so hopefully I've learned. he can just look at it and say, "Yep, you got it. Here, good, we're go." And there's a few things he has to put in it, like the our Dark Water Endeavors thing, and he's going to put the advertisements for his books and for Dark Angel and Sigwo and all that stuff. He's got a few things he'll have to do, but once I get done with all that part, but once we get all that done and get the cover, I'd say maybe next week or the week after, and it'll be done and out. Hopefully quicker than that, but within the next 2 weeks.
It'll be a good one, folks. You guys are going to like it. And here's the link for my newest one. You can grab Lakeview Man Dead of Winter in Kindle, and I will post and let everybody know as soon as it's out in print. The one I'm working on now is called Dark Frontiers, the Mountain Devil of the Absarokas. So if you are a member of the Patreon, you can probably read the first couple chapters on there. I think you guys get a kick out of it. It's already up there, as well as the back cover blurb. So I hope you guys will check that out. We're going to have some short stories posted over there soon. So again, hope you guys will check it out. That's patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. Hope you guys will check that out and become part of the community over there as well.
Yeah, and that's something I forgot to mention that too. You can read chapter 1 and the back cover blurb on book 3 on my Patreon too. So if you remember the Patreon,
heck yeah,
you can get that on there.
But as we're winding things up, I want to make sure you guys remind you of our affiliates. Check out the good folks over at Dark Angel Medical, best kits in the business. I don't just say that because Doc's my buddy. I say that because I carried one of his kits as an active duty officer. Robbie carries one now. Trust your life to the best, and those kits are definitely the best. Don't forget to use discount code I'm sorry, that one's Cryptid20 for 20% off your entire order. They're also HSA and FSA eligible, so if you've got those kind of credits, you can use those as well. Check out the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical. Best blades, got some awesome survival equipment. They're debuting new stuff all the time. Another fantastic veteran-owned company. So let Craig know we sent you, and don't forget to use discount code DARoberts10 for 10% off your order. And check out the good folks over at Sigwo Arms. If you're wanting to get your custom pew with the Codename Wild Hunt logo on it, those are your folks. They're the only ones licensed to do it, and hope you guys will check them out. If you want a Whisper Pickle for your pew, they're the guys to see. They do all kinds of custom builds, up to and including fully auto, if you've got the right permits for it. So check them out. Let them know we sent you. Go talk to the Codys over there at sigwoarms.com. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention the 22 a day foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. There's a website. If you're a veteran and you want to reach somebody out, go to mission22.org. That is mission22.org. Veterans, if you want to reach out to somebody, that's the folks to reach out to. They can put you in touch with the resources. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. It does not make you less of a man. It does not make you less of a warrior. Everybody needs help once in a while, and believe me, I've been there. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need help, because 22 a day is 22 too many. So check on your friends and family that are first responders and served in the military, veterans in any capacity. Reach out to them, let them know you think about them, let them know you care, because sometimes that text you send might be what keeps them off the edge that day. And don't forget to check on the folks you think don't need it, because sometimes those are the ones that need it the most. So again, if you're a veteran and you need to reach out, mission22.org. Fantastic group, and they're there to help. Folks, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We really had a good time. Hope you guys like the new intro and the new logo. I'm pretty proud of them. Noah did a fantastic job on them. They look really good. And we're happy to be changing the format and continue to bring you guys the kind of stories you enjoy, and help promote other shows and promote our books, as well as other authors as well. So look for more authors showing up where we can do these little round robin shows about writing and different books, like we did the other night with Luca. But we'll also be inviting other authors to join in on stuff like that soon. So just watch for those in the near future. And folks, we appreciate each and every one of you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for being part of our lives and being part of the now the Nightmare Nation. And we're damn glad to have you guys with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The algorithm still shows that only about 40% of the people that watch the videos are actually subscribed to the channel. So please like, share, and subscribe. We would appreciate to have you. Love to have you. Don't cost you a cent to subscribe. Big shout out and thank you to our mods. They do an amazing job. Hashtag Nightmare Mods rock. You guys are the best. And we appreciate everything you guys do to keep the chat flowing well and keeping things going well, going as they should on the show. You guys do an awesome job. Thank you guys so much. So yeah, we love the mods. You guys are the best. Also want to say a big shout out and thank you to all the channel members and all of our Patreon members, both Robbie's and mine. We appreciate you guys way more than you realize, because each one of those do help the channel continue to grow and for us to be able to get equipment and things like that. That helps us to continue to bring this kind of content. So please, again, like, share, and subscribe. Share it with the folks you know will enjoy this kind of content. And let's see if we can get the channel over 10,000, because we're getting close. We're almost 9,800. We're wanting to hit that magical 10,000, because that will get us even further into the algorithm. So folks, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Wyatt, brother, thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hey, anytime, brother. You're always welcome.
Yep.
And from all of us here at Nightmare Hunter Podcast, we thank each and every one of you. We're going to close her out. We are going to continue the toast, and because I'm very proud of that toast, and I want to continue that for a good long time to come. But y'all know the song. It's from an old Irish drinking song called "The Parting Glass." And it's more than just saying goodnight to the folks at the bar at the end of the night. It's saying goodbye to the ones we've lost along the way. So remember mission22.org, and thank a vet or thank a first responder, because we owe them a debt we can't ever repay. And this one's for the ones we've lost. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night, and joy be to you all. Good night, everyone. Slàinte mhath, and we will see you guys on Saturday night. Slàinte.
Slàinte.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAExMachiNation. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.